today we are going to make salwar. And trace the outline. So we trace the piece which has the seam allowance on both the sides, and the top and the bottom. Bottom has the M allowance. It's going to be 3 pieces for each leg. So 6 pieces has to be cut. So this we cut 4 pieces for the leg. So cut, trace the pattern and cut. So this has to be cut as 4 pieces. The fold has to be removed. This is the basic salwar. If you wanted to get the wider and wider salwar, so it should have the width as bigger. In that case, we should cut 4 pieces, 6 pieces, 2 for the in leg and 2 for the side seam. Make it on fold. 4 pieces ready, and then the piece that will be folded at the middle. So this is the side panel, which has a fold at the middle, and it has a seam allowance at the side, and then the hem allowance and the seam allowance is there. We need to trace as per the width of it. Just place this and then trace. So you just place this.
Did you notice
and trace the line. We taken this on fold, this on fold, and then we have to trace it, trace the line and mark the hemline. And already the seam allowance is there, and this is the other line, other edge of the line. Cut the side piece with the hem allowance and including with the seam allowance. You can put pins if you feel slipping. Two pieces of the side panel is being cut and mark the wrong side of it. And this is going to be paired, so this will be the wrong side and this will be the wrong side. And here the hem allowance should also be traced. Hem allowance should also be traced. And this is for the hip piece. Though the fabric is not sufficient, we can do the patching over there. We will do the patching and cut it later. And on this side panel also, we should mark the right side and wrong side. One leg is, the two piece is for one leg, we pad it, and other two pieces for the other leg, we pad it. So this is going to be for the leg, and the hip piece we are going to cut later. Now we will start the stitching. The hip piece is being cut as per the measurement. So this is the hip piece. Again you have to mark the wrong side of it. and we should cut the gusset piece. Gusset piece is been with the 4 by 4 inch, and cut the gusset piece. So we cut 4 inches of gusset piece. We finish cutting off everything, and this is the side panel. First take one piece of it and then place it the right side. Place the right side, and then take the leg piece. The right side has to match with the right side, and the hem allowance has to match with the hem of it. So we are going to do with a plain overlock seam. Both the length has to be matched, and we are going to attach with the plain overlock seam. Start with the back tag. Maintain 3/8 of an inch seam allowance which we left in the pattern. So it's matching at the top also. If you want more strength, you can also do your double row of stitch and then stretch it, press it on the line, then do the overlock. The other side should also be stitched as the same. So this is the right side of it, and take the other piece. Right side face to face, right side face to face, and then stitch. Maintain the seam allowance and stitch. Maintain the seam allowance of 3/8 of an inch and stitch. So one leg is being done. This is the center panel and this is the side panel. We attached it, and we have to do the overlock on the seams. Then we are going to make a fusing, fix a fusing under the and this is the hemline which has the allowance, which you are going to attach fusing, and we are going to do the hem over there. And the second leg, other leg should also be done as the same. This is the mid panel, this is the wrong side, place it to the right side, and then attach the side panel along with attach the in leg panel along with the side panel. So this is the right side. Wrong side is marked on both the side, and take the right side and start to attach from the top. Match it and stitch with the back tack and do with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Same to the entire length. Match it and stitch it to the entire length and end with the back tack. So if you do that, it will. And press on the seam, do the overlap and then open it and do the press on top of it. So this is the top side and this is the hem side. Again you have to attach another panel by facing right side together. This is the wrong side. You have to face it the right side. So right side faces right side, match it and then start do the seam, maintaining the seam allowance and with the back tack. So the length has to match, the seam allowance has to match, but it has to end with the reimbursement stitch. So it may get pucker over there when we are getting in. When it's a polyester fabric, we should be careful not to make the puckering over there. So we attach both the leg with 3 panels together and 3 panels together. Now we should do the pressing on seam first, then have to do the overlock and then do the press open seam. After finishing this seam, plain seam, you have to do seam press on the seam first. First do the seam press on the seam. Then only the seam won't have any puckering. So you may clearly identify the difference between this seam and this seam. So after pressing, this looks so clean without the puckering, but the first seam has the puckering. When it's been a little bit of a polyester fabric, definitely it will happen. So in that case, you have to do the steam press on the seam first, then only we have to go for the overlock. So do the steam press on the seam. Then you can realize the finish of the seam will be neat. The same thing has to be done for the other leg also. Wherever the seam is, you have to first do the seam, then overlock it, then the seam finish would have been better. You can find out the difference between this. Now we are going to finish the overlock. Overlock by facing the seam allowance towards the inlet. Seam by facing the seam allowance towards the inside, that is towards the inleg panel, and press it flat. Press it flat. So this should open it up. That the fold has to be open it up. Here it is being folded, it has to be open it up. That's how you have to press from this side to this side. So we could see a clean finish without any puckering or a fold or something. It's been very. Then if you wanted to press the seam, you can do the press on top of it. The underneath seam would also be pressed properly. The same thing to be done for the other end. Press from here to open up the seam. The seam element should turn towards the side seam. See, even after easing also, the puckering has not been shown. That gives a proper, clean, straight finish without puckering. So that the one leg is being attached with the panel. This is the one leg which is being attached with the side panel and the inleg panel, and we have to do the fusing on the leg side. So we are going to do the other leg also as the same. After pressing the seam, you should fuse. You should fuse the fusing at the bottom. So this is the end of the hemline, and this is going to be folded towards up. So this much is going to be folded up, and this much is being going to fold it up for the first fold. But the fusing has to be happen or at the top side of the whatever. See, this is going to be hemmed like this, and this is the top surface of the salwar. So you need to fuse the fusing. A strip of a fusing has to cut and then attach. There is a seam allowance of 1 inch is there, so you should spread the gap and then fix it on the hemline. This bottom has to fit with the hemline, and then fuse it properly. The spread should be even, and then press it. Press the fusing properly with the required heat and pressure and time. Next we are going to do the first fold and cover the fusing, and we are going to stitch it like this way. So we have to check whether the fusing is being fused properly. Required timing is also necessary to make it fuse properly. The pressure is also necessary. The timing is also necessary. The bonding has to get melted It has the property to melt on particular time and top particular pressure, that it has to be melted and stick onto the fabric. It requires certain time. That time has to be maintained with the proper pressure. Then only the fusing will fix properly along with the fabric. It also depends upon the fabric type and the fusing type. And when you are selecting the fusing, you need to select the fusing according to the color of the fabric. When it is a lighter color, you can go with a lighter white color or a lighter color fusing. When it is a darker color, you have to select the fusing color as also the same. In market, there will be two colors available, one with the white and one with the black. The black color will be used for the darker shades and the white color will be used for the lighter shades as well as for the same color. And if you ordered for a separate required color as in a lot, then they will dye it and give it to you with the proper color. So when you are using for a single piece, that required color is always with the white and the black. Sometimes it will be with the peach and a skin color. As per the requirement of the color, you can also purchase the fusing and use it. Do the same thing for the other leg also. First, make the first fold at the hemline to identify the actual line of it, and then do the steam press. Then open it up and place the fusing at the top end of the hemline, and this is the actual hem of the salwar, and you have to spread, allow the equal allowance on both the sides. Either it's been a short or excess, and fuse it as I said. It's required the proper pressure and the proper heat and the time. Press it with the pressure. It has to be pressed it with the pressure. It's not necessary to use the steam. Sometimes to melt the bonding, it is required to use the steam. Then it's going to be folded once, single fold, and then it's going to cover the whole. So it's being like this. It's going to be like this. Now we have to do the stitch on top of the fusing. As in a decorative, stitch line is going to be placed on top of it. We may use this from this end to this end. It's going to be the width of the hemline. There we are going to do the decorative stitch. We can draw. If you want the angular line, you may draw the angular zigzag line. If you want the shape line, you may do the curve lines like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4 curves have been done. Then you can do the other stitch on top of it, or triple stitch, or double stitch, or a chain stitch, or a zigzag stitch. Any stitch can be used to make it as decorative at the bottom of the hemline. So we have to do the lines on both the side, both the legs, and then do the stitching. Now we'll start the stitching. To cover the edge of the fusing, and then start to do the stitch with the back tap. And it has to exactly cover the fusing, and do the top stitch or edge stitch It should not create any roping. So you should flatten it and do the stitch at the edge. Do the same thing on the other leg also. If you pulled the fabric on one direction alone, then the roping would have formed. So when you are doing the adjustments, you have to do on both the sides, then only the twist and the roping would not happen. So we finish the hemline by doing the top stitch. The top stitch has to be done with the other edge also. The other edge also be done with the top stitch. Start with the back tap. Continue to do the stitch on the edge. Don't do the slip stitch. It has to be on a straight line. And it has to end with the back tap. So both the edge we did the edge stitches, then we are going to do the decorative stitch on top of it. And then we have to do the decorative stitch. The curved stitches we are going to do. So you have to follow 4 stitches or 5 stitches at a time, and you have to regularly turn by following the lines. So you should lift the pressure foot and turn it, and then follow the curve. The same thing has to be done. You know how to make a curve stitch. Then follow the same procedure. Whenever you are turning, that needle has to drop down and then rotate. Don't try to rotate the curve when the needle is in up position. So it has to be rotate and modify the curve, put the needle down and then do it. I'm going to follow the same stitch parallelly. stitch, again I'm going to do another row of stitch at the hemline. As well as at the top line. So the decorative stitch is done at the hemline. So if you done the curve by lifting the needle up, then it will change from its position. This is a mistake. It doesn't give a continuity as in curve. You can also draw the curve. It is not necessary to do only the curve pattern. We do the zigzag pattern also or a cross pattern also. Whatever the pattern which we do and stabilize the fusing in place for a longer time is necessary to do a top stitch. It is well and good do with the row of stitches is also be better, but we try to give the decorative stitch there to enhance the look of it. It may given according to the pattern of the fabric also, or if you are doing the design with the conceptual, we can bring out the conceptual pattern in it. It will be well and good. And we can again do the same kind of a stitch pattern on the other side. The double row of stitches being given top and the bottom of the fusing. Always start and end with the back tack. So double row of stitches are done. This is the right side, and then we have to fold towards the wrong side and attach the in leg. Start with offering seam allowance. Do the back tack. Now at the top of the leg, on the top of the leg, we are going to attach a gusset. The gusset is 4-inch square piece which you are going to attach gusset over there. So you may identify the point and make a notch and stop the stitch till there. So the stitch has to stop till here. So you may do the stitch till there with the back tack. The same thing has to be done for the other leg also. After doing the decorative seam, fold towards the right side and then do offering seam. Start with the back tack. Start with the back tack and do the stitch. The same thing has to be done. Measure the gusset measurement. The gusset has been going to attach at here and do the stitch till the point. So stop the stitch with the back tack there. And then we are going to attach the gusset now. The only one piece need to be attached. So take the piece out and then try to attach this. This should have the seam allowance and this point. So half-inch seam allowance is there. Follow the seam allowance. This is the point, and this point need to match. This point and this point need to match, and then try to take it out. And if you are not being practice, if you have been enough practice, you may pin it or tack it the piece in position and then do. Start with the back tack and try to bring a straight seam. Try to bring a straight seam till the point. Okay, so and this is the straight grain. So you need to ease it, the slant grain, and then stitch up to this point. And do the spot tack. Then turn this. Put the needle down on the exact point. Put the needle down on the exact point and turn this piece. And turn the underneath piece also. And then stitch. Because as I said that the bias has the stretchability, so easing has to be given on the bias piece, and this is the straight grain, it's not necessary to give the ease, and the seam allowance has to be followed as half an inch, and do the back tack. You may check that it has given a square skein over there, so it's been formed with a square stitch. And the same thing has to be done for this gusset has to be attached with the other leg also. Just turn it to the right side and then face the right side face to face. As I said, this point, this middle point of half of an inch seam and this point need to be matched. Now we can start the stitch from the top of the point. So this is going to be attached from here to match with this point. This point and the middle point is going to be matched. Attach. Attach this and then attach these two straight pieces together. So I'm going to attach this. Till then it's a straight line. It's a straight line till here. And then this seam allowance has to be turned inside. This seam allowance has to be turned inside and then bring little more down till the stitch and then turn it off. Turn this and do opening stitch till the point. The point has been at here. You must have to do the stitch till here. Put the needle down and release the pin. Now, these two pieces again have to be attached till the line. As I said, the bias piece has to be eased out. You can also do a little bit of a clip over there on a single layer to make it flat. Then stitch till this seam line to match it to this point with half an inch allowance. Put the needle down and then turn it. Turn it and match it with the rest of the seam allowance. So the inside has to be straightened and this seam has to be pushed inside and make it to match with the seam line and the seam allowance and then do the stitch with the back tack. Now we can check on the right side of the fabric that the square piece is being attached in a square way with the two legs inside. So this is called the gusset. Now we are going to do the overlap for all the stitches, all the seams. for all the seams whichever has the raw edge. Now you are going to attach the hip piece being attached with the flat felt seam. Flat felt seam is being used to attach. First do a stitch. So when you are doing the flat felt seam, it won't be disturbed by the drawstring. And then you have to do you can either do the stitch by following this side or top side also. So you have to do on the edge of it. When you are doing this seam, even you make a fold on this, the seam won't disturb by the drawstring. So it gives a clean finish on both the sides. The same has to be done. So you have to follow the right and wrong side by doing the stitching of attaching of panels. So our panel is being attached. So this is the hip piece. This is the hip piece which you are going to do the hemline also. See here, the thing is you are going to make the fold for 1 1/4 inch and 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch going to be like a fold for the drawstring. So we should allow the 1/4 inch plus 3/4 of an inch, or 1/8 of an inch has to be for the hemline. 1/8 is for the hemline. At the 1/4 inch, we are going to provide a hole. This 1/8 of an inch is the hemline, and at the middle of the 1/4 there should be a hole. The first fold going to be 1/4 inch, and the width of the thing is 1/5/8 of an inch is the width. So this 1/8 inch is going to be folded at here. This is for the hemline. Okay, and after doing the hem, the hole has to be at the middle of the hem. So this is 5/8. Of the middle is 1/4 inch start down from here and 1/4 inch down from here. The 1/2 inch will be the hole for the drawstring. So mark the hole at the wrong side. So this is the hole. We need the hole at here first. So the hole is 3/8 down from here, then 1/2 inch. So what we are going to do, I'm going to follow 3/8 of an inch as a seam allowance, 3/8 of an inch as a seam allowance, and then 1/3/8 is going to be marked, and then 1/2 inch is going to mark for the drawstring. Now start to do the stitch with the back tack. Start to do the stitch with the back tack, and have to follow a straight stitch till 1/3/8 inch, and again jump a stitch of 1/2 inch here, and start again with the back tack, and then do a straight stitch. Now you have to trim the thread and press open the seam. Press open the seam. It can be 3/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch, and then fold this on both the sides and do a edge stitch there. The seam allowance can be maintained 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch as per your requirement. This seam allowance can be left. So being this fabric is very soft fabric, I don't want to give a more seam allowance. So I left 3/8 of an inch as a seam allowance, and then I fold it for 1/4 inch and do the edge stitch. So that the raw edge has been closed here. The same thing has to be done for the other side also. If the raw edge has been ruptured, then they have to trim the ruptures, and then do the first fold and do the edge stitch. This stitch is called tailor hem stitch. See, both the edge also be cleaned. So we are folding it off and then doing the stitch on the edge. It may depends upon the seam allowance. The seam allowance, if the seam allowance is 1 inch, we may make the fold of 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. Then the stitch of 1 inch will be there. If you are leaving 3/8 of an inch, then you can fold if you are leaving 3/4 of an inch, you make the first fold by 3/8 of an inch and do the stitch here and there. Now we left for 3/8 of an inch. We made the fold for mid and then did the stitch. So we are getting the seam like this, and also we are getting a hole in between simultaneously. So if you done the back tack over here and there on the point, so it may not come out. This is the space for the drawstring. And then we are going to do the hemline as we left that. It is 1/8 of an inch is the allowance. 1/8 is the allowance of the fold. If you want, you can give the more allowance also, but we left it for. So then you have to make fold by 1/4 inch and do the stitch on the edge. So it may come as a 5/8 of an inch as the hem width. So first fold has to be quarter inch, and second fold has to be 5/8 of an inch. 5/8 of an inch. Do the egg stitch on the fold. Do the same thing for the entire. The seam allowances depends upon you. You may also allow half an inch plus 1 inch, 1.5 inch can be allowed. As for the handling and the fabric, we should allow the seam allowance. If you can't allow the less handle, we can't handle this less seam allowance, you can go for a wider seam allowance also. But the stitch should be done at the edge of it. It can't slip from its position because we are going to do only one stitch there. You can also tack it or pin it, but it should have the uniform bit all over. So the hip piece has been done, and there is a hole for the drawstring, and the seam allowance has been maintained. The drawstring has to come at the middle of it. So this is the front. This is the front. Center front, and the straight back is the center back. I have to make a notch for the center back, CV, and then the side seam can also be notched. This is for the form size. So the hip is being made for the form size. This is the side seam. The hip arc is 9 inches for the hair form. So this has been 20 inches. This has been 20 to 21 inches at here. 21 inches is here. So it has 4 inches all around. No, 3 inches all around. So this is the hip round plus 3 inches, so it may easily cross the hip measurement. So you have to check that this measurement can be hip round plus 3 to 4 inches. The hip 3 inches will be little exact, and 4 inches will be little comfort. And this is the leg piece, and this is the center front line, and this is the center back line. And at the side, you have to make a notch for the side seam. This is the middle of the side panel, and this is also the middle of the side panel. Now this hip piece has to be attached along with the leg piece. So you may happen to see that there is so much of excess. This is the hip piece which is to be fit little extra than the hip line, but the leg piece is too much extra than this on both the sides. So this excess has to be created as a pleat on both the center front and both the front and the back side. So we are going to start. This is the side seam and this is the front. Here this is the center front and this is the side seam. This is the center front and this is the center back. Center front, center back and side seam which is being marked. Now this has to get matched along with that, and then we have to decide how much away the pleat has to set. So the allowance we can maintain as 3.5 inch away from the center. So we are maintaining that 3.5 inch away from the center only. We are going to start attach the pleats. So from till the 3.5 inch, this is going to be plain. After that only the pleats going to start. So this much and this much is going to be plain. The rest of the thing to be attached as a pleat on the front also, the back also. Now take the piece open and put the center front has to match with the center front, right side face to face, and put the pins at center front, and then till this notch it is to be matched in this point, and the center back this center back and the center back should get matched. And this notch should be matched. So till here there is no pleats. Now the side seam and the side seam need to be matched. As the same, the side seam and the side seam need to match. Now we can find that this much of excess is there on the leg piece. Now we are going to create this as a pleat. The pleat should face the right side. It should face towards the front. This is the center front I said. The pleat should face towards the front, and the pleat space and depth could be half an inch pleat can be taken and put the pins, or you can also hand tack. So 1 inch need to be taken. Mark 1 inch from here. You can mark 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, and that the 1 inch has to be created as half an inch pleat. Likewise, the pleat has to be created and fixed in place. So we are doing the marking as first ½ inch for the pleat, then 1 inch intake, ½ inch, 1 inch intake, ½ inch, 1 inch intake, ½ inch, 1 inch intake. Likewise, you have to do till the side seam. So we did the pleating. This is the side seam, this is the center front. We did the pleating for one side. The same thing has to be done for all 4 sides. We did the pleating on all 4 sides. The center front is matched with the center front. As we said that the center back is matched with the center back, and the side seam is matched with the side seam. The pleats are also matching from the starting point to the ending point at both the sides. So the pleat is also be arranged in such a way that it is been with the same position, and the dart has to face either towards the front or towards the side, or whatever the dart, it has to be faced towards the side or the, so in between this is facing towards the front, and this is also facing towards the front, this is also facing towards the front. So you have to check, it can be faced towards the front or side, but it is to be uniform for the other side also. Now we have to attach the seam of the hip and the leg piece together. So often in seam allowance has to be maintained. Simultaneously, so we did the pin at the hip line and the center front and the side seam as horizontal pinning, and all the other pinnings have been done as a vertical pinning. This will help, this vertical pinning will help you to stitch as a stretch, continuous stitch, the needle won't get break. Then other thing is the pleat remains straight. it won't slip from its position. When you're done the vertical pinning at here, the pleat remains stitched. After you remove also, we can see that the pleats remaining straight in its position. If at all, if you're done with the horizontal pinning, this may slip and catch with the other pleat. Do the same thing, release the pin and do a double row of stitch. I said that the strength has to be stronger for the hip line, so you have to do a double row of stitch there. So again we are going to do your stitch from the center front. The stitch has to be one on top of other. Then only the strength remain good. So the stitch is done as a double row of stitch. In order to get a clean finish, in order to close the raw edge, you have to do the overlock around. Then we should make your drawstring or a cord or a tape to insert inside the thing. So I'm making a card. So it has to be folded in twice. 1, 2. So both the raw edges been folded at the middle and then again folded. So the raw edge has been getting closed inside. So just take it at the middle and fold it to meet the raw edges at the middle, and then flatten it and fold it again and do the edge stitch. This will become as a tape to act like a drawstring at the waistline. Wherever the joint is, you have to do the press opening. this going to be inserted inside. So just turn it out and do the overlock. Turn it out to the wrong side, to the right side. Turn it out to the right side. And then insert. So it has to be threaded into the waistline. So this is the gap. Insert the drawstring inside. Insert the drawstring. And take out the drawstring, the same hole. So now you have to make a stopper for the drawstring. The drawstring edge can be knotted or it can be done with a stopper. So make a square piece. Cut a square piece and then fold the square piece and then keep this inside and do a stitch. Do stitch in this way and then trim the excess. So and then turn it out. So there will be a bell shape and this will act like a stopper. The same thing can be done for the other side also. Been done like a bell shape. It act like a stopper. It act like a soft stopper. and we can draw the string and then make a knot at waistline as per the waist measurement. It should fit in the waist, and we can draw the string easily and try to fit it on the waistline and tie the string. Try the string, it may give a proper fit. You can notice that the pleat is not slipped from its position, and it has an even distribution at the same as the back, and it is facing each other. The one is facing each other. The same thing is being at the back also. The space between the center back and center back is equal. The pleat has not been caught, and it has been even, and it is facing towards each other. that the piece is being taken on fold and have to do a stitch. Then you have to frame your triangle formation. With this, you have to do a triangle formation and then hold at one side and catch to the edges of selvage and then do the continuous stitch wherever the fabric ends. So the stitch is ending at here. Then now if you turned it, that this is the fabric, if you turned it, then we may happen to take a boxy square piece. We happen to take a boxy square piece. Now this grain has been a bias grain. This is kind of a bag. So it may give the entire length at the same square, and this will be the bag kind of a thing. In this, we can place the pattern. Usually if the fabric is sufficient, we may take the cut pieces without the joint. See, if the length is too much, we may take the thing without the joint. And if it is not sufficient for the length, one can be taken over here on the bias grain and one can be taken on this on the bias grain. If the fabric is not sufficient, usually they will take the hip side with the joints. So this can be kept here. This can be kept here to have the joint at the hip line and the thigh line, and the other piece can be taken on the other side to have no joints, or if you get here there will be a small joint at here, we can also avoid the joint. Now the fabric is excess, so we are going to place the pattern without the joint. So what can we do? That we can fold the excess wherever the seam is coming, and then place the one edge, so it has to be on the fold. This has to be on the fold. Then when it gives the 45-degree angle line, so I'm going to trace here. There is a joint. The bottom length is up to here, so it is possible to avoid the seam also. So I am taking from the bottom, the leg length is this, and then I avoided the seam line. Only the seam line is at here, it will be hidden in the hip area. It's including seam allowance, so we are drawing the outline of the pattern. In order to avoid the slippage, you may pin and do the tracing as well as cutting. So one I traced it here. One leg I traced it here. Other leg I'm going to trace. So it has the seam line over there. The joint is going to come at the leg point. So if you wanted the joint to be at the hip line and the leg doesn't want any joint, then you may put the pattern. You may put the pattern at here, and the joint is coming over here. So the same thing can be done on the other side also. We may push to that end also, this end also, wherever you need the comfort and wherever you doesn't want the seam joint to be visible. The seam is at here on one layer only. So I am tracing it. I am trying to trace it from here. The seam is coming at the hip line, so it will be a hidden seam. That everybody must be sure about where the seam is. Usually it is to be avoid to see the seam wherever the piece has been served. If it is a short kurti also, the seam, the garment can be up to the mid thigh or below the crotch, so the seam line can be above this level. That will be the tolerant. And if it is a long kameez and all, we can have the joint till the knee line also. So according to the wear, that the kameez, short kameez or a long kurta or lehengas or something, you may design the joint where the joint has to come. Now this is also on a bias grain and this is also on a bias grain, and you must put pins to avoid the slippage. Usually the slippage will happen because it is on a bias grain. Keep in mind that we have to avoid the slippage, avoid the twisting also. If this has been slipping, the twisting kind of a thing will happen on the fold. So you must avoid the twisting also, slippage also. So now we can start cutting. You should be careful to cut the silk fabric. Start cutting from the bottom line. We have traced the cutting line, not the stitching line. The stitch seam allowance is half an inch, so we are going to put the stitch half an inch inside, so no need to trace the stitching line and the cutting line. So one leg is done. We are going to cut the other line, other leg also. Now both the legs are cut. So the both are in a bias direction. It is a perfect true bias. So if you are cut in this way, the bias will be a true bias. So the joint is coming at the hip line alone on both the legs. There is a joint and here and joint and here. Both the legs is coming at the hip line. Now we have to cut the hip piece. Now we have to cut the hip piece. Hip piece can be taken on a bias war grain or else in the hip weft grain. So always the grain will be like this. So we can cut the hip piece. And this is our hip piece. are going to stitch the churidar. First we are going to make the hip piece. It's as same as the salwar. Then we are going to make the leg piece and attach along with that. It needs two pieces of hip pieces, and 2 pieces of leg piece. At the end of the leg, we are going to create a placket for fastening. First we are doing the hip piece, which is going to be done with a flat felt seam. Then only it is easy to make the drawstring channel. So first fold this. It is, as I said, it is a flat felt seam done already in the salwar. Make a first fold and do a stitch. Start and end with the back tap. It is used for the drawstring, and the hip base is this, and this is the center front and the center back, and you have to make the notches for the side seam and side seam.